There are places where scale alone reshapes your sense of reality, where landscapes stretch beyond the horizon and history feels too vast to fully grasp. In a world that is constantly moving forward, this is a land where the past still stands, immense, visible, and impossible to ignore. In East Asia lies China, one of the oldest continuous civilizations on Earth, defined by both its immense geography and deep cultural roots. From towering mountain ranges to vast river systems and megacities that never seem to sleep, this is a country built on contrast and scale. Here, history is not confined to museums. It exists in ancient walls stretching across mountains, in cities that have evolved over thousands of years, and in traditions that continue to shape daily life. But beyond its well-known landmarks lies something less seen: hidden valleys, remote villages, and natural wonders that remain far from the global spotlight. China is not just a destination, it is a world within itself, layered, complex, and constantly unfolding. A land where scale meets story and where the unseen still waits to be discovered. China. Across a land so vast it spans climates, landscapes, and cultures, there exists a story that stretches back thousands of years, layered, continuous, and still unfolding. In today's rapidly changing world, this is a place where ancient traditions and modern transformation exist side by side. In East Asia lies China, a nation shaped as much by its geography as by its history. From the towering heights of the Himalayas in the west to fertile plains and coastlines in the east, its terrain has guided settlement, agriculture, and the rise of civilizations for millennia. Major rivers like the Yangtze River and the Yellow River have served as lifelines, earning the Yellow River the title Cradle of Chinese Civilization. Historically, China's dynastic cycles, from Qin to Han, Tang, and Ming, have shaped governance, culture, and innovation, leaving behind architectural and cultural legacies that still influence the present. The construction of the Great Wall, advancements in science, and the development of trade routes like the Silk Road reflect a civilization deeply connected to both land and exchange. Culturally, this diversity is reflected in language, cuisine, and tradition across its vast regions. Despite rapid modernization, customs rooted in philosophy, religion, and community continue to define everyday life, a place where geography shapes civilization and history continues to guide the future. Across mountain ridges that rise and fall beyond the horizon, there stretches a structure so vast it reshapes the land itself, not just a wall, but a symbol of endurance, ambition, and time. A presence that has watched centuries pass in silence, while the world around it continued to change. in northern China lies the Great Wall of China, one of the most iconic structures ever built. Constructed over centuries by successive dynasties, its purpose was both defensive and symbolic, designed to protect borders while projecting power across vast distances. Stretching for thousands of kilometers, the wall weaves across mountains, deserts, and plains, adapting to the terrain with remarkable precision. Watchtowers rise at intervals along its length, once serving as points of communication and surveillance, forming a network that connected distant regions. But beyond its scale, the Great Wall reveals something more subtle. In quiet sections, far from crowds, the structure feels almost absorbed into the landscape, weathered stones blending with earth and sky, as if it has always belonged there. There are landscapes that feel imagined, where mountains rise like brushstrokes and rivers flow like silk through the land. A place where nature seems to follow the rhythm of art rather than geology, creating scenes that feel almost unreal. In southern China lies Guilin, home to one of the most iconic natural wonders in Asia, the Li River. Here, karst mountains emerge sharply from the earth, forming dramatic limestone peaks that stretch endlessly across the horizon, shaped over millions of years by water and erosion. As the river winds through this landscape, it reveals a world in constant motion. Morning mist drifts between peaks, fishermen glide across calm waters, and reflections blur the line between sky and earth. Every turn along the river unveils a new composition, each one as striking as the last. But beyond its beauty, this region has long inspired art and poetry, becoming a symbol of natural harmony in Chinese culture. A place where nature becomes a living masterpiece. There are places where time does not rush forward but lingers, where reflections in water hold centuries of memory, and every wooden beam seems to carry a story. A place where the past is not preserved behind glass, but continues to exist in quiet, flowing rhythm. central China lies Fenghuang ancient town, often called Phoenix Town, a settlement that has stood for over 1,300 years. Nestled along the Tuojiang River, its traditional wooden houses rise on stilts above the water, forming a landscape that feels both delicate and enduring. Here, narrow stone streets wind between ancient buildings, while red lanterns cast warm light across the river at dusk. Boats drift slowly beneath arched bridges, and reflections blur the boundary between reality and memory, creating scenes that feel almost dreamlike. But beyond its beauty, Fenghuang holds deep cultural roots, home to ethnic communities whose traditions, architecture, and daily life remain closely tied to the land and water around them. In a land where landscapes shift from mist-covered mountains to fertile basins rich with life, there exists a region that feels both grounded and untamed. A place where nature is powerful yet deeply connected to everyday life, shaping culture, flavor, and identity in ways that are impossible to separate. southwestern China lies Sichuan, a vast region known for its dramatic geography and cultural depth. Surrounded by towering mountain ranges and fed by river systems, the Sichuan Basin creates a unique environment where fertile land meets misty highlands. Here, nature reveals itself in layers. Dense forests hide rare wildlife, including the iconic giant panda, while mountains rise through clouds in scenes that feel almost cinematic. The region's humid climate and rich soil have also shaped one of the most distinctive culinary traditions in the world, bold, intense, and deeply rooted in local ingredients. But beyond its vitality, Sichuan carries a quiet intensity. Morning fog drifts across valleys, temples rest along mountain slopes, and the rhythm of life follows the land itself. In a world where space is often defined by scale and expansion, there exists a different philosophy, one where entire landscapes are carefully shaped within walls. A place where nature is not vast, but distilled into something precise, intentional, and deeply symbolic. In eastern China, within the historic city of Suzhou, lie the classical gardens of Suzhou, a collection of ancient gardens designed to reflect harmony between humans and nature. Built over centuries, these spaces are not simply gardens, but living compositions of architecture, water, stone, and vegetation. Here, every detail carries meaning. Winding pathways reveal scenes gradually, windows frame specific views like paintings, and ponds mirror carefully placed rocks and trees to create balance and depth. What appears natural is in fact meticulously arranged, designed to evoke mountains, rivers, and vast landscapes within a limited space. Beyond their beauty, these gardens reflect a deeper cultural philosophy, one that values stillness, reflection, and connection to nature. There are places where the boundary between earth and sky seems to disappear, where mountains rise so sharply they feel like gateways to something beyond. A landscape shaped by height, air, and illusion, where every step feels suspended between two worlds. In central China, near the city of Zhangjiajie, lies Tianmen Mountain, a dramatic natural formation known for its sheer cliffs and breathtaking elevation. At its center stands the iconic Tianmen Cave, a massive natural arch carved through the mountain, creating what many call the gateway to heaven. Reaching it is an experience in itself. A winding mountain road with 99 turns climbs toward the summit, while one of the world's longest cable cars stretches across vast distances, offering panoramic views of forest, cliffs, and valleys below. Glass skywalks cling to the edge of the mountain, where each step reveals a dizzying perspective into open space. Here, scale and sensation merge. The wind moves differently, the silence feels deeper, and the entire landscape seems to exist above the ordinary. In a land often defined by scale and movement, there exists a place where everything slows, where water reflects not just the sky but centuries of poetry, art, and quiet thought. A landscape shaped as much by imagination as by nature itself. In eastern China, within the historic city of Hangzhou, lies Westlake, one of the most celebrated scenic landscapes in the country. Surrounded by gentle hills, pagodas, and ancient gardens, the lake has inspired generations of poets, painters, and philosophers, becoming a symbol of harmony between nature and human design. Her beauty reveals itself in subtle layers. Morning mist drifts across still waters, bridges arch softly between small islands, and willow trees sway gently along the shore. Every element feels deliberate yet effortless, creating scenes that change with the seasons and light. But beyond its elegance, Westlake carries cultural depth. Legends, stories, and traditions are woven into its landscape, turning each viewpoint into more than just scenery. It becomes a reflection of history itself, a place where nature and culture exist in perfect balance. High above a plateau where the air thins and the sky feels closer than ever, there stands a structure that seems to rise directly from the mountain itself. A place where scale, spirit, and silence come together in a way few landscapes can replicate. The Tibetan region of China lies Potala Palace, an architectural masterpiece perched over 3,600 meters above sea level. Once the winter residence of the Dalai Lama, it has long stood as a symbol of spiritual authority and cultural identity. From a distance, the palace appears almost unreal, its massive white and red walls rising in layers against the mountain backdrop. But step closer, and the scale becomes overwhelming of rooms, chapels, and corridors filled with murals, scriptures, and artifacts that span centuries of history and devotion. Here, architecture is not only functional, it is symbolic. Every level, every color, and every detail reflects spiritual meaning, designed to connect the physical world with something beyond it, a place where earth and sky feel closer than ever. In a city defined by scale, structure, and centuries of power, there exists a space set apart, not for rulers but for rituals that once connected heaven and earth. A place where architecture was designed not just to be seen, but to align with something far greater. The heart of Beijing within China lies Temple of Heaven, one of the most important ceremonial sites of imperial China. Built during the Ming Dynasty, it served as the sacred ground where emperors performed annual rituals to pray for good harvests and maintain harmony between heaven and the human world. Its center stands the Hall of Prayer for Good Harvests, a circular structure of deep blue and gold supported entirely by wooden columns without a single nail. Its design follows precise cosmological principles where shapes, colors, and numbers reflect ancient beliefs about the universe. Surrounding courtyards and pathways extend in perfect symmetry, creating a sense of order, calm, and balance. Even sound behaves differently here, echoing across stone surfaces in ways that feel intentional, almost engineered. A place where architecture becomes ritual and space becomes meaning. From mountains lost in clouds to ancient cities shaped by time, this journey has revealed a land of immense scale, depth, and quiet mystery. Places where nature and history do not compete but exist together, layered, intertwined, and constantly evolving. Beyond the iconic landmarks lies another world, hidden valleys, forgotten towns, and landscapes that continue to inspire imagination and wonder. A side rarely seen yet deeply felt. These are not just destinations, they are living reflections of time, culture, and the enduring power of nature. And like all hidden wonders, there is always more waiting beyond what we see.